my face is familiar to a lot of you. If it's not, my name is Claudia. I am a project coordinator for the NutriShed project at the University of Ghana School of Public Health. I did my undergraduate in nutrition and food science, and from there I got a master's in public health at UG School of Public Health. I used to work with Dr. Colcraft on several nutrition-related projects, and now I do the same at the School of Public Health. Welcome to, I guess, a very exciting Spotlight Thursday as part of our GAND Nutrition Month. And before I let our speaker talk to us, I just want to share a brief should I say, a brief story of one of my first interactions with Prof. Zotto. So Prof. Zotto, I'm not sure you remember me, but I remember you. Back in 2014, just after I had graduated, done my undergraduate studies, I was doing my national service on campus. So I was working as a TA at the NFS department. And then a NEC was held. Okay. And I remember Prof. Zotto so much from that time because he was one of the people who was part of organizing the ANEC conference. And I just remember even to this day how inspiring his commitment to nutrition was. Like it was something that was very inspiring to me. Someone like a whole professor who was like doing a lot of running around, like talking and interacting with even us that were like national service people, like just to make sure like the program went on well. And that's something that has really stuck with me. So I'm really happy to have the opportunity to sort of moderate this session. So Prof. Zotto, welcome once again. And please, if you don't mind, share, okay, yes, let's see your face for a little bit. We can turn it off maybe about 10 minutes into the interview if you don't mind. All right. So Prof, can you share a bit about your personal life and your background, if you don't mind?
Thank you very much, Claudia. And it's a great, great privilege and a great honor to interact with you and my colleagues today. It is my hope that your time will not be wasted and that as the Christians put it, some rhema would drop into your spirit. Some ideas would drop into your spirit from what I would say. I may not realize it, but there's something that I would say that will connect with you. And you say, this is what I've been waiting to hear to take me to the next stage of my career. Or this is it that confirms what I've been wanting. That said, I'm just an ordinary person. My name is Francis Bruno Kobla Zotto, and I come from the Volta region, but I pride myself not only as a Ghanaian, but an African, a son of the soil. And so that is me. I was born, even though I was born in the Volta region, I spent most of my time in the upper region, upper part of Ghana. And so upper region and eastern, upper west, which was then one region, was where I grew up from the age of 3 until I went to secondary school. And then the rest was history when I came down to Accra later on and then found myself in the UK where I had been for 28 years before I decided that enough was enough. I needed to come back to Ghana. So I hope this is me. I would answer the questions as we get along. I'm not good at saying things, but I'm good at summarizing them. So I don't know if that is okay for you. Claudia, you are muted.
So, yes, I just realized, sorry. So I was just saying that I would like to probe a little further, and like I guess I'd like you to share maybe how your personal life or like your background has sort of influenced your career as a nutrition professional.
Okay, I didn't start off in nutrition to start with.
Mhm.
My background has been in biochemistry. Then from biochemistry, in the UK, where I did my undergraduate years, it was in biotechnology. And I was quite fascinated in aqueous two-phase systems. So I was looking at uh, polyethylene glycol and to see whether we could use those characteristics to separate bacterial cells. And then later on, I moved into what you would call characterizing Pseudomonas bifida in tall plasmids PAW1, whatever that means. Uh, and so it was things that I was doing, which was more of, it didn't connect with, with the normal and ordinary human being. Of course, I got a master's out of that and I was working in the lab, but it got to a point where I was a bit frustrated. And I would say frustrated because in 1995, I watched a documentary by one Kevin Carter. And Kevin Carter is a South African born photojournalist who got a Pulitzer Prize for his photography depicting the 1993 famine in South Sudan. And sadly, he lost his life. He committed suicide. But what was fascinating for me was the story about the vulture and the struggling girl. And I was going on a journey. I wanted to find out what was it with Africa that with all the resources that we had, Africa is not able to make it. And I went into biotechnology because I thought I could help solve Africa's problems. I finished and I was even more frustrated until I bumped into a friend of mine who was a lecturer in South Bank. I'm sure you all know him, Professor Paul Amuna. We started talking and it looked like he was also interested. He had a medical background and he was interested in doing something on clinical nutrition. So we decided to put our ideas together and began to explore. And that was how come my interest in nutrition came to the fore. Because after our chat, he realized that we could channel our frustration into something that would help Africans. And out of that, to cut a long story short, it then came up that we could develop what we call the food multi-mix concept. And the food multi-mix concept was basically to use ordinary foods, local foods that was around us, and try to put them together into a recipe to meet the nutritional needs of different population groups. For me, that became exciting. And I felt that that was something I could launch onto because if I came back to Africa and I told my grandmother that I was characterizing Pseudomonas bifida in tall plasmids, my grandmother would look at me and wonder, what's this young man talking about? But if I came to my grandmother and told her that, Grandma, I have developed a concept, a recipe on foods that can improve your nutrition, my grandmother would ask for a cloth to put me behind her back. Because here was I, all my years, I wanted to do something to help humanity. So could I develop a concept that could improve the nutrition of different population groups, whether they are pregnant women, whether they are children that are malnourished, or whether they are people that were older persons, or people that had different disease conditions. And I felt that this was a journey I could go into. So I switched over from biochemistry into nutrition. And that led me into doing a PhD in nutrition. Initially, I wasn't interested. I said, let me just get on with the concept. And Paul said, look, if they said Mr. Zoto is an experienced person to talk to you about nutrition, people will say, yeah. But you see, Africans as we are, when they say Dr. Zoto is coming to talk to you about nutrition, people will say, the guy is a doctor. So now we can listen to him. So that convinced me, and I had to do a PhD in public health nutrition. And so that was a journey that brought me. And later I found out that the struggling girl was not actually a girl. It was a struggling boy, one young, who later on was rescued, and in his rescue, he was taken on by the UN Food Aid Station, grew up until in 2007, he died of fever. But at least the vulture did not have dinner, but somebody rescued him. Could I be the kind of person that would rescue people of their nutritional challenges? And I think that has put me on the quest to see what I could do or contribute my quota in addressing the nutritional challenges we have in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Professor, so you've actually answered part of my next question, which was if there was any events that sort of inspired you to study nutrition. So thank you for sharing. So in your opinion, how would you define a world-class nutrition professional?
Oh, a world-class nutrition professional. I can only tell my story. Now, having gone on the journey of being a nutritionist, I've always been guided by my instincts. And my instincts is to act. And this has always overcome my fears and hesitations. I mean, we all have fears. We all have hesitations. Shall I or shall I not? Shall I or shall I not? But I felt that there was a greater need to reach out to my community. Peradventure, in reaching out to my community, I could contribute something that would impact the lives of others. And so I've always relied on my instincts to do that. And in trying to do that, it's not necessarily putting myself forward, but it's trying to see that whatever I do would contribute to advancing nutrition and make nutrition better among different population groups. And so that has been a journey that I've been on. And in trying to do that, I've learned to put myself forward to work with others. And that's how come we started with ANEC, the Africa Nutritional Epidemiology Conference. Because at the start in 2002, I happened to be doing my PhD then. And I said, look, is there a way that I could plug into this and contribute? I went in there to help and give a helping hand. And out of that 2002, we had our first conference. In 2005, 2004, we were supposed to hold a conference somewhere else in Kenya. But the guys were not really keen to put themselves together. And in 2005, I happened to find myself in South Africa because I did a postdoc in South Africa. Now, it was there that, speaking with the framers of the ANEC conference, we decided that in 2005 we'll hold it. But we couldn't get the funding to do it until I bumped into Anna, who had Professor Analati, had attended what you call the African Nutrition Leadership Program. And she was in the first batch. I happened to be in the third batch, and we had a safari event. So we all met. And at that meeting, I met Anna for the first time. I had actually referenced her work towards my PhD. So I told Anna that, look, Anna, we want to organize the African Nutrition Epidemiology Conference. Kenya wasn't ready, and South Africa wasn't ready. The first one was in South Africa. And so could Ghana be a venue for organizing this conference? And Anna said, I have been with experimental biology. I don't think I would have the time to do it. Frankly, that's what she told me. And I said, Anna, you are attending the IUNS, the ICN, which is the International Conference on Nutrition in Durban in 2005. And because I was an alumni of the African Nutrition Leadership Program, I said to the members that Anna was invited to put in an application as a council member. So I told my alumni members, and I said, look, Anna for council member. And you see, I had somehow, naturally, I'm a bit loud, and so I had some link with my safari, the alumni. And I said, I wouldn't be going to the conference because I was in South Africa for a short period. I only attended the safari and I needed to come back to England. So I told my colleagues who were going that Anna for council member, let us do something to make sure that we vote across countries for Anna to become the council member for on the IUNS for Africa. My colleagues did that. and Anna became a council member on the IUNS for Africa. And for me, that was a great encouragement for me. Anna then came back to me and said, Francis, concerning the conference that you wanted to organize, what is it again? And you see, I had put it to Anna before she went to the conference. I said, Anna, I put it to you that if you get elected as a council member, I was prophesying to you that you would come back and organize a conference by Africans for Africa. So she asked what it was that we wanted to do. That was a green light. And just as somebody who was just interested in nutrition on the continent, I told her what it was, what it entailed. And I told Paul, my partner in crime, Paul Amuna. Paul Amuna immediately flew to Ghana, met with Anna, Late, and Tom Ndano. And that was how come we had the first annex in Ghana in 2006. And I would say that that shook the world at the nutrition community, because they said for the first time, Africans had come together to organize a conference in Africa for Africa. And the IUNS said about it, and they said, how about trying to help us to put together a Federation of African Nutrition Societies, which is FANUS. So I would say that FANUS, which is a federation, was born in Annex in 2006. And so what then happened was that we invited and sponsored the key people who were to start FANUS in 2006 in Ghana. 2007, they then organized the FANUS. So I'm giving you this information, long winding story, because to become a world-class nutritionist, you've got to make your hands dirty. You've got to be willing to put your spirit and shoulder and energy into trying to advance the nutrition agenda within your circumference of influence. I didn't start off to become a leader in nutrition. I just was so excited about being a part of moving the nutrition agenda in Africa. And as God would have it, we became involved. And then after Ghana, we then went on to Cairo to Kenya to South Africa again, and we'll be moving round and round. Then I became the president for the African Nutrition Society. Now, how did I become president? We formed the ANS, the African Nutrition Society, in 2008, because some framers also felt that you couldn't keep on having this conference without having a society and a membership. And we felt that was wisdom. So in 2008, Anna became the first president of the African Nutrition Society. And so for us, it was something that we had a sense of belonging, we had a sense of comradeship, we had a sense that we could move the ANEC concept into an African Nutrition Society with membership and have a voice for Africa. And that's how it started. So Anna became his first president, then Werner Oliver Theron became the second president for the ANS. And Werner was one of the framers of the ANEC event. So in 2012, when they heard that I was coming back to Ghana, because the criteria was that to be president, you have to be back on the African soil. So when they heard I was coming back to Africa, in 2012, I was made the president. I couldn't refuse it. And so I then took on the reins. And I would say I worked in my own way tirelessly over the 4-year period whilst being the president of the African Nutrition Society, just contributing my quota. It was during that period that I also became a civil society member on the scaling of nutrition. Scaling of nutrition had then started. And so I became one of the scaling of nutrition people on civil society operating at a global level. And of course, they needed somebody who was a known figure, what you call a KOL, a key opinion leader, to speak on behalf of Africa at the global scene or at the global stage. So that was how come slowly, poco a poco, I just got myself involved. I didn't go there to become a leader. I just got there because I wanted to make my hands dirty. Then after that, 4 years, I then handed over to Professor Amos La, and then I was looking at what I could do because I easily become bored. Then I got onto council for the IUNS, the International Union of Nutritional Sciences. It was the British who actually nominated me, and followed by the Ghanaian Nutrition Society Association. So with those two nominations, I became a council member for the International Union of Nutritional Sciences. And then after the term, I also applied. Again, the Nutrition Society of UK and Ghana nominated me to become the vice president. And you see, for all of these things, I would say that working collaboratively across countries, making yourself useful, giving credence to the nutrition fraternities across the continent makes you known. You don't go there because you want position or post. You go there because you want to help people. And in doing that, people will also propel you or promote you because they say you can speak with the voice of Africa. So, Claudia, to cut a long story short, if we can do this, then our voices can be heard. And if our voices are heard, we can speak with passion and people would listen to us at a global level. There's a lot of space at the top. And all you need to do is just be willing, be passionate in trying to push the nutrition agenda from whatever corner you are. You have strengths, I have strengths. And if we bring our collective strength together, we can create nutrition as a hub at the global stage. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. So in summary, what I'm hearing about becoming or trying to model a world-class nutrition professional, a top-notch professional, is to, number one, work collaboratively. Number two, follow your instincts. Number three, just make sure your passion can be seen by a lot. So don't go in trying to get the highest post or make the most difference. Just go in working hard with your passion and your goal of improving whatever issue or problem that you might face. So Prof, you've mentioned a lot of things that you've been doing. So I just want to know, like, how do you, how do I put it? How do you stay up to date on like the latest research? Because you know, nutrition as a science is still, quote unquote, a relatively young science, and it's something that constantly changes. Like I can still remember how like sometimes egg was bad and then egg became good, like those kind of things. So like what are some of the ways that you stay up to date on the latest research in nutrition?
You see, on matters of nutrition, we are there to kind of promote the whole nutrition agenda and how this impacts on health. With that simple, basic understanding, how can I guide? How can I advise? And how can I support other people and bring them to the fore or to the limelight about nutrition issues? And you know, my research has been in food product development. And so in developing the concept, I was saying that how can I take kotombre? What are the nutritional contents in kotombre? What are the nutritional contents in rice or other ingredients, beans or maize, and put them together with a recipe that can be of benefit to the ordinary person. So I am making myself useful in advancing nutrition in the populace, in the ordinary person. What is it that why did you come into nutrition? What is it that you can do? It is not a complex things, but take the little things that you can do to improve your circumference of influence. And in doing that, of course, you've got to read. Of course, you've got to find out. We talk about high fat, high salt, high sugar. Why do we have NCD proliferation in our community, in our world today? So you as a nutritionist, how can you address the NCD that is levels that are rising? How can you address the cancer proliferation that is rising? How can you even address the spoon feeding issues that are becoming a problem? These common problems that veers into helping the ordinary person gives you a passion. Then you begin to investigate and find out, is there something that I can do in my own little way? Can I watch the news? Even the issue of galamsey. The issue of galamsey. What is galamsey doing to us? What is it doing to our water bodies? And you would know that Look at just using galamsey alone. How is galamsey affecting my health? How is galamsey affecting my nutrition? And I remember when I was coming back to Ghana in 2012, I met up with the Director General in his office. And I was talking about the fact that we tell people to eat balanced diet. We tell people to eat vegetables. We tell people to eat fruits. And yet we take water from the gutter and water the cabbage, our vegetables. So imagine taking water from the gutter with all those lead and heavy metals. What are we doing? They leach into the soil and they are taken up by these vegetables. No wonder our vegetables are not taken up by our hotels. So you are a nutritionist and you are telling people to eat vegetables, to eat fruits, and to eat balanced diet. And yet, so we have to embark on education. So you've got to do your research and find out what is in the food. What is it that we can do in our own little way? Don't go to the highfalutin research. Start with the simple things. And of course, you've got to be current with whatever you are doing and see how that is impacting our community. So going back to the galamsey issue, we talk about people that are mining. Our water bodies have become polluted to the point that fishes are dying. So if fishes are dying, what does that tell us about the foods that we eat? If the galamsey is bringing about soils leaching into the soil and they are taken up by the plantain and the other foods, what is it telling us? And how can we begin to educate? And in educating, you go with knowledge. What is the scientific knowledge? Are you publishing? Are you writing? Are you communicating? So these are hard information that you've got to put into the fore for people to understand. But you see, as a nutritionist, you also got to hone in on your soft skills. Have you got a gift of the gab? Can you communicate? What is that you are passionate about? The problem that is around you. Can you be a problem solver? You see, so all of those kind of things. What kind of interpersonal skills do you have? Can you move around with people and begin to bring up a dialogue, a conversation? Can you organize people right now? And Claudia, you are a good organizer. You are good at managing things. However little you think that your skills are, you say, oh, me, Claudia. But you see, you never know what you have. But start. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. You've got to be abreast with what is happening around you. And by being abreast with what is happening around you, you begin to improve. Little by little, you are moving up. Rome wasn't built in a day, but little by little, you and I will move up. Sometimes, maybe Claudia, the thing that you know, I don't have a clue. But if I come alongside you, we'll begin to talk. You find out that there is something that I would say that will resonate within you, and there is something that you will say that is resonating within me. So the left hand and the right hand are beginning to work collaboratively. And that's the way I do my nutrition or my science. I learn from others, and others learn from me. I listen to the news, I read journals, and I read. And people wonder when I go to bed. Call me at 1 o'clock, I'm wide awake. Call me at 4 o'clock, I'm wide awake. I don't know how I do it. But I also know that when I sleep for 1 hour, 2 hours, I get on my knees and I say, God, please turn that 1 hour, 2 hours into 3 hours for me. And I keep moving. So I still find the energy to do my research. And for the past 2 decades and above, my work has been on looking at nutrition across the life cycle and promoting and establishing the nutrition agenda in Africa. And that is why whatever it has to do with nutrition, I get called and I get known and I get noticed. I don't get there and keep quiet. At least I have a view. I don't go there to just make noise. I have a view. And to have a view, you should read why. To have a view, you should know about the area that is being talked about. So before I go into a meeting, a conference, I've read about what the conference is all about, what is needed, and what contributions I can make. And for me, that is what keeps me going.
All right, thank you, Prof. You've actually segued nicely into one of our next questions, which was, what would you tell a young aspiring, like a young person who's aspiring to become a world-class nutrition professional? And I think you shared quite a number of things, but maybe just touch on a little more if you think there are other things, because you've said, like, try to make a difference in your own small way, stay abreast with what is happening, read, listen to the news, and like don't also downplay some of your soft skills. So if you have soft skills, like you're good with talking with people, good with managing, good with organizing, do your part and work collaboratively. So is there anything else you would add to someone who is young and aspiring? Because you've mentioned that you've been in the nutrition game basically for two decades. That's a lot of time. So what
Things.
else do you think would
Make
be
as in
important?
Zen, but
Equia Aswama, I'll finish soon, so you can ask any questions. But when I look around, I've had people who helped me in my journey to come to this level. I'll be honest with you, Claudia. I didn't just suddenly become a nutritionist and to get to where I am. If they talk about being the vice president of the global nutrition fraternity, taking strategic decisions for nutrition, somebody held my hand and helped me to where I am. And I remember in Japan, when people walked up to me from Asia, from Korea, from Singapore, from Bangladesh, and they said, "We are voting for you." I didn't know them from Adam. The Nutrition Society had dinners with me. French had dinners with me. They said, "You can become a voice for nutrition in Africa." And these were people I didn't know from Adam. But you see, what I'm trying to say is that you need somebody to come and walk alongside you, to mentor you, to help you. And I see Claudia, I see the potential in you. I see the things that maybe you cannot see yourself. How can I help you, Claudia? Is there something? And what I've been telling young nutritionists is, let's set up a bonfire, for example, an evening, get some dead chicken, have a kebab, a dead goat, have a kebab, and look around, and look at Amos La, and look at Richmond Aite, and look at Paula Muna, or look at Analate, and say, "Anna, we want to have a date with you. Just to sit down and talk. How did you become who you are today?" Those people I've just mentioned will feel honored, and they will share some insights with you that you never would have got. And so for me, I don't know it all. I don't have it all. But you see, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Be willing to share your knowledge with others. Be willing and don't be shy. We don't bite. Don't be shy to come alongside. And maybe when you get that dead chicken and 4 of you put together that dead fowl, maybe I may bring a bottle of wine or a bottle of Coke, not Coke, my apologies, a bottle of freshly squeezed juice. I stand as an advocate against sugar-sweetened beverage. And then you want to ask me, what is your stand on sugar-sweetened beverage? And at that meeting, I'll tell you my stand on sugar-sweetened beverage. At that meeting, I'll tell you about the proliferation of the NCDs, or obesity, or of cancers. And I'll begin to tell you my journey. And you see, at the end of that meeting, Claudia would have learned a lot. Senna would have learned a lot. Jonathan would have learned a lot. Maxwell would have learned a lot. And Maxwell would say that, from what you have said, Prof, I remember this. And you see, it becomes a learning curve for all of us. So for me, don't isolate yourself, but let us join our hands together and see how we can work collaboratively. The lessons that you learn from me can be impactful to you. And don't say that you don't have anything. Patrick, Awuku, don't say that you don't have anything. You have something, however little it is. Bring what you have into the discussion. And as you bring it, your confidence level begins to rise. And it's that which I have used all my life. My confidence level began to rise, little by little, I began to inch forward. That today, I don't say that, look at me, Vice President of the Global Nutrition Fraternity, everybody's underneath me. No, I'm not the finished product. I can talk to Wansuk in Korea, and I can say, Wansuk, I don't have the answers, but I know that Kingsley Prego has the answers. So I can link Kingsley to Wansuk. I can link Claudia to Alan Jackson. Are you getting me? And when I link the two of you, I say, Alan, Claudia, you don't need me anymore. Because I see a skill in Claudia that Alan can fill. And I remember in Kenya, here Alan was having a chat with a young lady who was struggling to finish her PhD. And so Alan said, what is it that you're working on? Then Alan said, perhaps I can help. If we hadn't put together that conference, that young lady would have had the opportunity to meet Alan Jackson. Alan Jackson invited her to his lab for 3 months, helped her to do her analysis, and then she went back and finished her PhD. Today, that young lady is a big name in Kenya. Are you getting me, Claudia? So what I'm telling the young folks is that don't shy away. What is your PhD topic? Somebody can help you for free. What is it that you are doing? Somebody can come and walk alongside you and say, you know what? I want to work with you. I just like you, Claudia. I like your face. I like the way you are respectful. I like everything about you. Somebody can just come in. Colin can just come in and say, Claudia, can I help you? The mistake that I made when I was where you are, I don't want you to make those mistakes so that I can give you the anointing of the partaker. And people that I've worked with today, they have gone far. When I came in 2014, that you talked about, when I saw the skills that Amos had, I was the president then, and I saw the skills that Richmond has. I said, Richmond, take charge of the logistics. Are you able to do that? With all pleasure. Amos, take charge of the international people. With all pleasure. And when they did their presentations, what I did was, I said, Amos, can you put together a paper for your presentation? Richmond, can you put together a paper for your presentation? Silver and gold I did not have. But I said, if you can put together a paper for your presentation, I guarantee you that it will go into the PNS, the Proceedings of the Nutrition Society. And then Richmond is on Amos's paper, Amos is on Richmond's paper, and on my paper. And I'm on other people's paper. So in the end, we came out from that conference with 4 papers, publications. Are you getting me? The left hand helps the rich hand. Now today, look at where Amos is. Look at where Richmond is. They have global names. Do they need me? No. I'm underneath them, and I'm happy. The teacher that I am happy that I can take Claudia, and one day, someday, Claudia will be riding her. And that is my 10% I always talk about. That Claudia will be somewhere one day, I'll sit down and say, Claudia, I am proud of you. I think I've had enough talk.
Okay, just a few more questions actually. Before, I want to leave some time to open questions up to the group. So I think the last thing I'm going to ask is, you've talked a lot about, like, working collaboratively and that kind of thing. And I know that you do have a vision for, ensuring that nutrition by African people for people in Africa is amplified. So in the context of Ghana, I would say, like, how do you see the future of GAND and the nutrition and dietetic practice as a whole within Ghana?
I'm glad you've asked this question because when Professor Steiner-Asiedu had a chat with me, she said, look, is there any way that we can bring the two nutrition fraternities together, the dietitians and the nutritionists together? Because at the end of the day, some who did a basic degree in nutrition and they went on and did dietetics. And you can see that the two professions in a way can work collaboratively, synergistically. Because look at the dietitian who is involved in nutritional counseling and therapy. You look at the nutritionist who is involved in guiding, advising, and supporting nutritionists. So imagine the positive effect that this can have on nutrition in Ghana and in Africa. And here we are, having all these nutritional challenges. I see GAND coming together. That how can we bring dietitians and nutritionists working for the one common agenda to improve the nutrition in our populace? When I go school, who can take school, and near where you school, near your school. I'm just speaking 4 languages. You have been to school, so come and educate us on what we are supposed to eat. So you see, if there's a problem somewhere like the Galamsey issue or the NCDs or whatever situation, the nutritionists and the dietitians can come together and say, oh boy, how do we address this problem? How do we go on a road show and begin to work collaboratively instead of fighting against each other, which is better? And people will say that, oh, nutritionists or dietitians, which is better? Come on, put that rubbish aside and see how can we begin to work collaboratively together to address the NCD levels, to address the Galamsey issues, to address the obesity issues, to address the cancer in our community, in our country as a whole. So I see a bright future for GAND. And I'm glad that the framers of GAND have come together instead of fighting to say that is it nutrition that is better than dietetics or whatever, community or whatever. How can we begin to work collaboratively to move the nutrition agenda forward? And we have to make our voices heard. There are a lot of quack nutritionists out there, a lot of quack dietitians out there who have been studied. And you have spent 4 years studying. You went on to do a master's. You went on to do a PhD. And somebody who is just a quack nutritionist maybe did a 3-week course in nutrition and says, I'm a nutritionist. And because they have the money, they appear on radio stations. I've got students who have done nutrition, who have been on radio and TV, but because they didn't have money to sustain it, they were kicked out. And chance was given to this quack nutritionist. And so my plea to GAND is that get your voices heard. From Axim to Zwarongo, there are nutritionists who have been well trained in the Ghana Health Service, in the Ministry of Health, in the agricultural sector. How can we begin to put our shoulders to the wheel and take leadership and draw nutrition? Come on TV, come on radio, and begin to work collaboratively, make your voices heard. We have ordinary people who are talking about Galamsey. I'm yet to hear nutritionists come into the forefront. Maybe I don't know. Who are to come into the forefront and talk about the nutritional impact on our health through all these bad Galamsey foods that we are eating. Children are being born with 6 fingers. What is the voice of the nutritionists or the dietitians in this area? And so GAND has a future. And I believe that GAND has a future if we begin to work collaboratively. Synergy. Rather than work in silos, let's begin to work synergistically. And we can do that. We'll go very far. It's not about who which is better than what. It's about how you and I can team up and work well to address the nutrition that is plaguing us, the bad nutrition that is plaguing us, and weed the quack nutritionists out of the system. I don't know if I've answered your question.
You have. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left, and I just want to open the floor to anyone who might have a question. If you like, you can come off mute and answer voice over your question, or you can write it in the chat and I'll read it out. Okay, I see Bright. Okay, Bright, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Professor Zito actually is my mentor. I could have asked this behind the closed doors, but to the benefit of all of us, I want to ask these few questions. But before then, I've actually learned that to become a good nutritionist, the first thing that you have to get is to be motivated in all aspects of your leadership. So my question is that, what does he think, or does Professor Todd think, is the most significant gap in the current nutritional education? And how can we address it, since he's a very good key aspect of nutrition?
Okay, so Claudia, what do you want me to do? One at a time, or take a number of them and then answer?
Okay, let's do maybe two at a time. So apart from Bright, is there anyone else who has another question before Prof. Zotto starts to answer? I don't see. You can raise your hand. I only see Bright's hand up, but maybe I'm not seeing all the screen. So okay, Prof, I think you can go ahead.
Thank you, Bright. What is the current issue that is plaguing us? And I made mention that whether you're in the field of nutrition or dietetics or whatever field, it's about problem solving. What are the issues that is plaguing our country that needs to find solutions to? And for me, that's the starting point. A good nutritionist is not so much about going to do work that goes above the heads of the people. The people that matter are the ordinary people. We look at our school feeding. What is it that we can do to address the issue about school feeding? Through education? What is it that we can do? Through school gardening? How can I bring my knowledge to improve school feeding? How can I bring my knowledge? We look at the NCD levels, and I'll use just a simple sugar sweetened beverage. And we say the sugar sweetened beverage is so cheap. You go to the rural areas and you can get the sugar sweetened beverage for less than 5 cedis, maybe 2 cedis. So who can afford? I remember I was in 140 miles close to the North Pole in Canada, close to the North Pole. The weather was minus 58 degrees. And the people there, the vitamin C that they knew was lemonade, orangeade, fizzy drinks. Because an apple costs $4. And you can get a big bottle of lemonade or orangeade for $4. So what would you do? You've got a lot of children. Would you rather buy the one apple, shriveled apple, that has a lot more vitamin C, or you buy the orangeade that a lot of people can drink from? So their understanding of vitamin C, of good nutrition, was skewed. It involves education. You go into the people, find out what is it that they know about nutrition. Take them from that level and begin to walk the road with them. You go into a community, people are dying of diarrhea, of dysentery, of other nutritional challenges. What is it that you can do to make their life better? You say, I appreciate where you are at. Maybe they take the rubbish and throw them anyhow. The water comes and it takes the rubbish into the water that the rivers. And that's the water that they use to cook. Or you throw your rubbish into the gutter. The rain comes and it takes it away. So you find out that these common problems, there are nutrition solutions to them. And you will be that catalyst to bring about the solution to these issues. I don't know if I've answered your question, Bright, but look at the current issue that is plaguing our country. How can your knowledge, your understanding of nutrition contribute to addressing or solving those problems? And if you can work on that, poco a poco, you move on to the more complex ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. We have room for one more question. Does anyone else have a question? Don't be shy. That was one thing Prof taught us today. Don't be shy. So if you have a question, if you don't want to come off mute, you can write it in the chat and I will ask.
Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, please, can I talk?
Yes, you can. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
Go ahead.
much, and I really appreciated Prof's input and the work that he has done and what he's currently doing. But it's an inspiration, as we all know. I don't really know how to put this, but as Prof was making a contribution, I think along the line he made mention that there are several parts in the system that we need more hands in nutrition to push them away. And currently, I don't know if this is within Prof's domain. I think maybe it might not be in Prof's domain, but he's a great force that I think when he speaks, it would help us. I want to know what he has or what he will be doing to help the health service employ more nutrition dietitians who are in the house unemployed. What we suggest so that GAN will also push through for them to be employed. And secondly, I think the government has instituted this planting for food and jobs, that they plant certain trees which are not beneficial. So I want to know if he can help us push the agenda that instead of planting ornamental trees, why don't they plant fruit trees in the country, that fruits will be available at every corner where we do. So thank you. I don't know if this is a question, but I believe Prof can do something about it. So thank you and over.
Well, thank you so much, my brother. And it is something that is so much on my heart. Here am I, training students in nutrition. 4 years they graduated and they've not been posted. I mean, how? How? And so what I'm embarking on now and is to become job creators and job seekers. If you put your hands or your heart or your life in the hands of the government, we Akula, Kamutu, Ovako. Don't put your hands, your life in the hands of the government. You've trained. And I used to tell my students that when you finish, you get a job with the Ghana Health Service. 4 years now, people have still not been posted. I was at a wedding on Sunday and on Saturday, and I met some of my students who finished 2019. They've still not been posted. Some told me a horrifying story. An ordinary administrator wanted to sleep with her. Go and buy me wachi, go and do this. I said, what has come over you? Test, Teresa. So what we are doing now in our university is to create an entrepreneurial and innovation hub so that our students can gain some skills in nutrition. And once they gain that knowledge in nutrition, they're in a better position to find jobs for themselves. There is a lot that you can do. I would want to just finish this quickly by saying that I've got a young lady who was trained in human resource. This young lady has set up a business in the nutritional area. In Gabon, she came as a young entrepreneur, and I gave her only 6 minutes. I was supposed to give her 12 minutes, but I was running out of time, said 6 minutes. She took it, and that opened doors for her. She went to Brazil, she went to Japan, she went to Rwanda, she went to South Africa. Today, she's a name. And I said, come and do nutrition. This young lady is flying high. Why do I say this? Because she has created a job for herself. And I'm saying that there are something that you can find yourself to do. Don't rely on the Ghana Health Service. Because if you rely on them, they'll kill you. They'll kill your dreams. Find something to do. A group of you can come together. What is it that we can do? What are the problems in our community that we can begin to address? And if you begin to do that, before you realize, you find out that the 1,700 or the meager money that they are giving you, you don't need it. You don't need them. You need yourself to make an impact in your society. I don't know if I've answered your question. I can see Prof. Ahmed's hand up.
Yes, please. So, Prof. I, please, can you come on? And then Prof, after Prof, Prof Zoto, I'll read out 2 other questions that are in the chat, and then we can conclude. Okay, so Prof, please go ahead.
Okay, Claudia, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity that you've given me. First of all, I want to say Boyaka, Boyaka to my big brother, Prof Zoto. He has seen it all, he has done it all, and I believe he still has the vim to go further. And so I urge him to continue in his track. Whatever he's doing, he should continue. And I know he's going to do better and better. Just for our nutrition fraternity, he has brought nutrition so far, singularly and in together, plurally. I have worked with him for quite a while. When he joined UHAS, we're working hand in hand, and we've been together in so many things, even though I have remained mainly in the north. But I see him as very inspirational for us. And this is where I want GAN to take cognizance of, that they should not think that the old ones who are experienced should be left on the dock. We need to be on board. GAN, listen carefully. I know Prof Zoto is playing a role, but I don't see the role properly in GAN. We talk about people who are the advisors or the people behind the whole thing, but it's like we don't see what they are doing. Now, I wanted to ask a question, and I know Prof Zoto has on those questions already, but I want to ask a question which I think somebody also asked or has already asked on the board, but I'll still ask. I think now we are doing a good job, a great job by advocacy and all that. This month in particular has been a month of advocacy. But Prof, I think that we are not hitting hard on policies. Apart from the sugar sweetened beverage policy and the few that are coming in, there are so many areas that we should hit as far as policies are concerned. You talk about the good food environment. The policies on food environment, we are not there. We are not instrumental in setting those policies up because they border on food safety and other things. And it looks like some people have hijacked that area, and we nutritionists are not even considered for that when it comes to food safety, agriculturists, and the rest. The Food and Drugs Authority has been given mandate, and there are a lot of things, the policies that we can influence, that we can get the food and drugs to be on track. So I think we need to, I want you to say something about that. What do you think we should be doing so that we can beef up or mass up the formulation of policies that will inure to the benefit of Ghanaians as far as nutrition is concerned? Thank you very much.
Let me just quickly answer this question. And Prof. Ayi, you and I go back way back in the 80s, in the medical school, when you were there. So it's not just recent. But you see, the thing I want to say is that you've got to put yourself out there to learn. And I'll tell you about these 2 gentlemen, Amos and Richmond, Prof. Amos La and Prof. Richmond Aite. These 2 people learned how to write policies. Amos will tell you that he learned how to write policies, policy briefs. And you see, if you don't learn, start with the internet, start with people. If you can write policy briefs, before you realize, you are beginning to volunteer. And you see, when scaling up nutrition started, you will find Richmond and Amos, they'll go to the meetings. They'll not be invited, but they'll go to those meetings. And they'll sit in the corner somewhere. And when the people are confused, then they'll raise up their hands slightly. And they'll say, yes, who are you? And they'll offer a suggestion. And it makes sense. Before you realize, they began to bring them to the table. And they say, okay, we are volunteering to put together a proposal for scaling up nutrition to get some money. The 2 of them wrote that proposal. And Ghana got $400,000. When the money came, the people didn't want them to know. Fortunately, I was on the global board. So I told Richmond that Ghana has got $400,000 to carry out, and that your proposal was accepted. Because of that, I became an enemy to the scaling up nutrition people in Ghana. Why am I saying this? Learn to write policies. And if you can write policy briefs, volunteer yourself. Go to those meetings. And I'm sure there's a lot that you can do. Today, Amos can write policy briefs with his eyes closed. Go to Amos. How do I write policy briefs? He learned the hard way. Go to Richmond. How do I write policy briefs? Are there any areas that I can mentor? I can be mentored by you. Go to Paul Ayi. He may be in the north. Just go around him. How can I put together a policy brief? And he will give you some ideas that money cannot buy anywhere. So I plead and I beg that there's a lot that we can do. Don't leave it to one person. Today, I'm struggling to find somebody who can be on the council for the International Union of Nutritional Sciences. Because I've been a council member, I'm a vice president. I need somebody to come from Africa to be on the council. When I look to the left, I look to the right. I say, get your hands dirty so that you can also be there and be a voice. I'm going for another term as vice president. After that, who else will take my place and be visible in Africa on the Council of Nutritional Sciences? Will people make a decision for you? No. Be there as part of the table. Don't be part of the menu. I want to be there at the table so that we can make collective decisions. But it's hard to start when you do the hard work. Write the policy briefs. Learn how to write it. Learn how to write proposals. Amos did it. Richmond did it. Today, they are flying high. You too can do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. We're a little over time, but I just want us to make sure we address some of the questions in the chat as well. You've touched on the like policy making and execution of nutrition policies a little. So I just want to also just touch on, someone asked about the issue, like they want to find out how to address the issue of medical officers and physicians' assistants in like the health facilities who constantly offer superficial nutrition advice to clients to the detriment of the profession. And then the other one is talking about how we can effectively address and debunk misconceptions and claims that are incorrect. For example, the misconception that malt mixed with milk is a good source of iron. So like those are some of the other ones there. So if you can just touch on that briefly so we can end.
My people perish because of lack of knowledge. And when you sit on the fence, then you find that the square pegs get into round holes. I have nothing against medical doctors or physician assistants. I love them. Most of them are my friends. And you see, visibility, assert yourself that you have something. You can do it. Look at what Maxwell, where he's working now, at Lincoln Hospital. When Maxwell goes on ward rounds, and he begins to talk about the nutrition issues, the doctors will be nodding their head. And Maxwell will begin to gain the confidence and begin to do more. Somebody will tell you that add milk to super malt and you get your iron. Where do you get that? When you are discouraging people from drinking malt, you are telling people to now add milk to malt. What is the scientific basis for that? And I remember medical doctors wanted to get the Ghana Health Service jobs as directors. There was a case recently about a friend of mine. A position was being advertised by a director, a good nutritionist. But you see, somebody at the top deliberately decided that this should not go to a medical doctor this time because the position is for nutrition. So they had to persuade her. Another friend of mine, one of my students, didn't want to apply. He said, I'm busy doing other things. So when you sit on the fence, others will come in. And I'll tell you, the first vice chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences is a medic. He moved into public health. His first project, when he was doing his MPH, was nutrition. He came into public health, medic. The second vice chancellor, public health, from medicine. When would you assert yourself, see that you have confidence, and when you begin to talk, people will listen. When a medical doctor begins to talk, you become timid. You too have something. And my friends who are nutritionists, when they go on the medical ward rounds and they begin to talk from their perspective as a dietitian or a nutritionist, people respect you and they listen to you. Alan Jackson, my mentor, a pediatrician, came into clinical nutrition. And in Southampton, he was Paul Aya's mentor and supervisor. When the guy begins to talk, the medics keep quiet because he's able to articulate his thoughts. That is why Paul Aya is a good nutritionist. You study an IQ like that, you can never go wrong. So please accept yourself, be visible, and have the gift of the gap. Learn, know your facts. And when you know your facts, somebody tells you that take milk mixed with super malt and tell them why it's a wrong idea. With due apologies, it's a stupid idea. Why can't you talk about Abedu, Solanum tofu? Why can't you talk about our local foods that are rich in fiber, in iron, in those things that would improve your diet? You want to bring rice, polished rice from abroad. Look around your surroundings. How can people buy things at an affordable price, cheap, that is available, that they can easily eat and get their nutrition? I want to leave you with that. There is a lot that you and I can do. Let us do it and make Ghana a better place and make Africa a better place. Africa is rich. It's we Africans who are poor. And because you are sitting on the fence, you have round pegs in square holes. Wake up. Let's work collaboratively. We can make it work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Zotto. We really appreciate the time that you have taken to share with us. Since we are over time, I wanted to give Maxwell an opportunity to speak since he's the chair of the National Nutrition Month. So Maxwell, are you available to just say a few words of gratitude to Prof. Zotto for his time? Maxwell.
Maxwell Kola, have you left the Legon Hospital or you are sitting at the bedside of the patient?
Okay.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on the road. But Prof, we've been really inspired, and we just want to thank you so much for your time. In fact, there was no better person to take this except you, because we know that when it comes to inspiration, you are one of the best, and we've really been inspired. We hope that there will be many more thousands of yourself produced in the near future based on these discussions that we've had. Your time is really much appreciated, and thank you so much for the words of encouragement. And Claudia, thank you so much for driving us beautifully to our final destination. Yeah, so that's the few words I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Maxwell. Thank you so much, Prof. Zotto. We really appreciate it. I can say I'm definitely re-inspired. So thank you for that. All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I hope you've been equally inspired. Thank you so much.
Claudia, did you tell her about the conference in Cape Coast?
Oh, yes, in October. Please, I think we've been publicizing it on our group. So everyone, please don't forget that we have a nutrition conference coming up in October. What are the dates again? Can someone remind me?
7th to 11th.
7th to 11th October in Cape Coast. We hope we will see a lot of you there. All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.